Taylor Zanti,
And I'm Marcus Azati.
and this is Passport Necessary, a podcast dedicated to being a TCK and growing up as a TCK, how it affects us now as adults. And today we are going to be talking about December festivals / Christmas,
Yes.
because it is pervasive and everywhere now. So for you, is like Christmas a big thing in your family?
Yes, it is, or was, certainly like when we were kids. I mean, definitely like every single year it was always done. So there'd be the tree, there'd be the presents, there'd be the food, there'd be all that sort of stuff. And there'd be like in sort of like essentially schools that were American based, like the run up to Christmas was always clearly there. So like it would start off and you would definitely be sort of like working towards it in the school band or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas plays and all that sort of stuff.
You did
So
Christmas plays?
yeah, in the first school I was in.
Like nativity stuff?
Oh no, like we do a play for Christmas is probably
Oh,
a better way
oh,
of putting it. Yeah.
I was so
Sorry,
confused. I was like,
I
what?
don't-
I
Yeah,
didn't
I
know
was
you went
baby
to a
Jesus
Catholic
3 years
school.
running.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess, well, we did Christmas every year as far as I can remember, but it never felt like a really big deal for me. I know that I've talked about it with my partner, like for him, Christmas is huge. Like it
Yeah.
was a time for family and getting together. They would always have a really, really big meal with, everyone there.
hmm
But to me, like Christmas isn't really like that. It's a lot more low
Yeah.
key. So I guess I don't have as strong of a nostalgia sentiment for Christmas that I think my partner or a lot of people have. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, because like certainly for me as an adult, it's definitely not been like that at all. Because obviously being on the other side of the planet is always a thing of like being away from people and all that sort of stuff. So it's much more low key now. But I always try and make sure that I do something different.
hmm
Always try and make sure that I could do something different.
Do you usually cook something special for Christmas?
Yeah, something unusual, just something different.
Well, I have a question. Like with your family, I know for a lot of Americans, they'll do turkeys for Thanksgiving, although I do know
Mhm.
families who will also have turkey for Christmas. But I've also heard of having like a Christmas ham. That's also very popular
Right, yeah.
for Americans for Christmas. Is there like a specific like dish that your family would make every Christmas or something that like had a lot of importance that, you would have?
I mean, like for British people, generally speaking, it's either a turkey or a goose. Those are generally speaking the two things that people have.
hmm
Because obviously we don't do Thanksgiving. Um,
Right.
uh, so yeah, as children, it was definitely turkey. That would be the thing that we would do. So adulthood, it varied. It depended on who was doing what. I mean, I have had goose for Christmas before. I
hmm
mean, it is literally like eating a big duck. I mean, that's basically how it tastes and everything, and that's how you cook it as well. The
hmm
same way as you cook a big duck. Um, that's a pleasant experience. And then sometimes, you might have. I've done things more recently where you have like animals that you wouldn't normally come across. I did. What did I do one year? I've done pheasant for Christmas before as well, because the thing is, obviously, it's quite a small bird. So the thing is, if you've only got one or two people, it's enough.
You don't need a
So
huge like goose or turkey if you're two or three
no,
people, unless you want leftovers for an entire month.
oh yeah, it's just like hibernate with it, just store it, disappear.
Never have to go shopping for meat again for the rest of the month. Just
Yeah,
eat
exactly.
turkey or goose. Um, I think for my family, if we could get our hands on it, my mom very often would make duck for Christmas.
hmm
If we were home. That was also the other
Yeah.
thing is a lot of the times when my family celebrated Christmas, because that was when we would have our winter holidays, very often we would leave the country we were leaving in and go somewhere else.
hmm
I can only remember very few times that we were home for Christmas.
Right.
So we would do the tree because my mom has this like little rinky dink tree that we bring to every country. We never had a live tree. It was always,
hmm
oh no, that's a lie. We did have a live tree, I think one year when I was living in Guatemala. But
Right. Okay.
otherwise, we had this like small plastic tree that we would make and we would put little things on it. We put the presents underneath it, but it was never like it's a big deal. Christmas is coming. It was more like,
Yeah, yeah,
hey, don't forget to get presents for everyone. Christmas is on its way. It was a little bit
yeah,
more like laid back, I think.
yeah, yeah. I I think for us it was definitely like the things focused on the specific day, so it wasn't like you had the massive. I mean, particularly with being in Japan, you couldn't have the massive long build up because in
Hmm.
Japan it's not really as big of a deal. So it felt like a more of a special occasion. Whereas now, irritatingly, there's because people always joke about, oh, Christmas comes earlier every year or whatever.
Certainly
Problem,
feels that way.
yeah, yeah. The problem is you definitely notice in sort of like certainly in Britain anyway. It's like you're going to have the adverts and things for Christmas being started up uh, in September now. It's really weird. This year I saw stuff that was supposed to be designated for Christmas on sale in September, and you're kind of
Hmm.
going, it's months away. I don't know if anybody's noticed it, but it's a long way off.
Yeah.
And irritatingly, they've come up with a new advertisement this year for Pizza Hut, and it says right at the beginning of the advert, doesn't it feel like Christmas comes earlier every year? It's like, yes,
And
we're
you're
still
not
in
helping.
October. Go away. And it's just like, I'm never going to Pizza Hut again just for that insulting reminder.
You're like, that's it. You lost my business. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. It does definitely feel like Christmas is coming earlier. I know definitely from a marketing standpoint, and especially from like a purchasing and capitalism standpoint, it feels like it definitely
Mm,
is creeping earlier and earlier in the year. I know where I live, I have absolutely seen Christmas stuff going up for sale in September. And
mm,
for me, it's irritating because I'm a huge fan of Halloween. And I
yeah.
really dislike seeing all the stuff for Thanksgiving and Christmas creeping up on October, because it's like, let October have the Halloween, like let that happen. Just
Yeah.
please, it's not that hard to wait until once October is done. And also, I think for me personally, it also kind of gets draining that like
Yeah.
it feels almost forced, that like sentiment of
Mm,
like being being joyful and cheery all the time. Like I'm a naturally happy person, but it
mm.
does kind of tend to get exhausting. At least personally, I find it to be exhausting.
Well, no, I'd agree with that because I think the problem is that it takes away from the actual event.
Hmm.
It's and the thing is, if you big it up so much, the event can never be as good as you want it to be because the expectations are so high
Hmm.
that you just kind of think it kind of defeats the object of what you were going to do anyway. Resent to spend time with the family and try and enjoy yourself. You're already sick of hearing what your family's up to. You're already sick of everything because it's just like, this has become the most stressful thing I've ever done. And I know I've got to do it again next year.
Yeah,
It's worse than
exactly.
moving house
I know. Yeah,
because it
I
goes on
definitely
forever.
feel that way. It's just, it feels like it's never ending. And it would be nice if it was a little bit more relaxed. It
Mm,
feels very pressurized. And
yeah.
I understand why. But I
Mm,
feel like, especially on a year like this year where so much has been happening and a lot of people have dealt with loss and have dealt with
mm,
whether it's loss of a job or loss of family members or loss of, the habits and things that you enjoy. I think what's most important is not necessarily having that big pomp and circumstance. It's
mm,
being with the people you love and care about, even if it's not physically there. Like, we're
yeah.
having this huge debate right now between whether people should be going to see their families for Christmas or not.
Mm.
And it's like,
Everybody is.
it's just like, I think the thing that's most important is the reminder of, if you love your family, you would want to keep them safe. If you love your
Yeah.
friends, you would want to keep them safe. So if you going to visit them puts their safety in jeopardy, maybe it should be smart for you not to go see them physically. But we have technology now that gives us an ability to
Hmm.
see people across the world. Like I get to talk to you once a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So might as well do that. Like make it special for yourself, but
What
you
do you,
don't have to be
yeah.
physically there to do it.
Yeah. I think the thing is that it's different for people who have families that kind of are across different countries because I mean, you can't see everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's not possible. So you kind of pick what you're going to do, and I can understand people wanting to go and see their families and everything like that. Everybody does want to do that. There is a point. I mean, actually, pragmatically, from the point that you've made, is it does make sense that really, I think sometimes, especially in situations like this, I mean, it's bad, but the thing is that it's only temporary, and so
Mm-hmm.
to sort of lock in on the idea that Christmas has to be exactly the same no matter what, it's kind of like it won't be, it can't
No,
be. So
you're going to
you have
grow and
to.
change every year. It's going to be
Mm,
slightly different every time.
yeah, so I think, and this time round, it's not anybody's fault. It's just the way things are. So, it's probably. I mean, the thing is, you could just have a sort of, wait a little bit and then see people when things are a bit safer.
Yeah,
It
I
would.
agree
It
with
would.
that.
It would. That would be the sensible thing to do. I mean, yeah, it's the problem is this isn't somebody saying something and being unreasonable and saying, "Oh, well, I don't want you to do this, so don't do it." It is really a case of if you decide that you want to do it, it's not going to make a difference. Like it's not. I'm trying to describe this. It's not somebody telling you to do something because they're a nasty person. It's because they're telling you to do something because it's the most sensible thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the virus isn't going to care whichever way round
Mm-hmm.
whether or not you follow the rules or not. Like it's if you decide to break the rules because you think, well, it won't happen to me. It's just like that. Every you know, it's sort of one of those things. Well, what could possibly go wrong? It won't happen to me. It's one of those things. It's one of those common problems, isn't it? I mean, I suppose particularly at this time of year, you do kind of start to think about that. It's kind of like, what's the best thing you can do if you care about people?
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, stay away.
Yeah, for now, and then it'll
Yeah.
change later on. Um, so we're also going to talk about celebrating Christmas, but also other December
Mhm.
festivals in other countries. Um, I know that, both of us, we have experience living in Japan. Christmas is not big in Japan other than from like a marketing standpoint. Like there's
Mhm.
no real tradition of Christmas really in Japan. It came with Americans when they
Mhm.
were in Japan after World War II, but it's not really like entrenched in the culture. In
Yeah.
fact, for many Japanese people, Christmas is seen as a couple's holiday,
Mhm.
which I think a lot of Americans or a lot of Westerners find odd because for
Es-
us, Christmas is family.
Yeah. Especially since one of the big things that they have on Christmas Day is Kentucky Fried Chicken,
Yes, I
and
I
it's
love it
genuinely
so
true.
much. So to be
It
very
just it just
clear,
seems peculiar, but you just got to think. I suppose why not? Why not do that?
yeah, so for people who don't know, in Japan, it's actually very popular to order Kentucky Fried Chicken for Christmas dinner. And it's actually seen as like a specialty thing, like a high end, like you would do this every year for Christmas. It's considered like the thing to do. Like where we think of like turkey, goose, ham, whatever. In Japan, it's going to get KFC. And they have entire meals that are planned around that, which
Mhm.
I just think is really funny. I love that. Just the because in America, especially KFC is seen as like it's good, but definitely unhealthy. But in Japan, they're like, yeah, it's
Oh yeah.
for Christmas.
Yeah. I suppose it is an indulgence thing though, as well, though, isn't it? I suppose it kind of counts. It
It
does
is,
fit in with the system, doesn't it?
yeah, it definitely is an indulgence. I just love that. I think that's so funny. So we're not only going to be talking about Christmas in Japan, but also Christmases in other places that we have lived or that I've lived too. That makes it more clear.
Yeah.
So there are two that stand out in my mind. I don't really remember Christmas when I was living in South Korea because I was really little, or really
Hmm.
anything other than it got very cold in the winter. Um, and I we talked about once we were living in Japan and all that stuff, but 2 days that stand out to me when I was living in Guatemala, there's one which is December 7th.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if it falls December 7th every year. I know that it's December 7th this year,
Right.
which is El Dia del Diablo, which translates to the Day of the Devil.
Hmm.
And similar to Guy Fawkes Day, where you're burning the effigy of someone. El Dia del Diablo, you burn a paper mache effigy of the devil.
Mhm.
Um, it's pretty spectacular to watch. People like really go all out. It's usually like a really big thing. People will come and they'll gather. It's like a group thing where you build the paper mache effigy. You usually burn that. Some people will also burn like trash or like broken furniture or like things that you want to get rid of, because the whole
Right.
idea is that you're cleansing for the holy Christmas season.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, because
Yeah, yeah.
Guatemala is actually a predominantly Christian country. Like, most
Hmm.
of the people there are Christian. We consider themselves Christian. I think specifically Catholic.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want to be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. And so the day of the El Dia del Diablo is really big because it's kind of like the whole idea of fire being a cleansing element. You're getting rid of all that negative things that are personified by the devil, and then you're
Hmm.
entering into the Christmas season with all of that behind you. Um, the largest of these like celebrations of El Dia del Diablo is in Antigua, which is a
Hmm.
city that's not too far from La Ciudad de Guatemala. I actually went to Antigua a couple of times. I really love that city. It's so beautiful. It actually has three volcanoes around it, one of
Okay.
which is still active. So you'll
Okay.
see like lava coming out of it once in a while. It's really cool. Um, and I have vague memories. I don't remember seeing El Diablo there, but I do remember seeing it while I lived there. And
Hmm.
then the other thing that's really big in Guatemala is December 16th through the 24th. So it's a couple of days. It's not just a one
Hmm.
day thing. Is Las Posadas Navideñas, which translates to the Christmas processions.
Hmm.
Again, this is more Catholic, and it's basically a procession, multiple processions that portray the nativity. So the
Yeah.
idea of going from house to house, asking for, you know, the ability for Mary to come in and have her baby. And usually that's there's usually children, but sometimes adults will do it where they'll dress up as Joseph and Mary, and they literally go from house to house asking them like, can you let us in? It's actually also
Hmm.
really popular, not popular. It's so popular. It's a really big thing that's also celebrated in Mexico, but
Right.
it's also done in Guatemala. And I never did it, like I was never part of it, but I do remember seeing it, like kids going
Hmm.
from house to house. There's a lot of other like saints days that are very big throughout the
Right.
month
Yeah.
of December. Because that's another thing with Guatemala is it is a very Catholic country, but they also are very big believers of saints and like the ability
Yeah.
that saints have. So they'll celebrate specific saints and what they do. Some are specific to a town, and some are specific to a day.
Hmm.
So it kind of varies, but there are multiple festivals that happen throughout the month of December in Guatemala.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Because I was trying to.
I was also looking into in Japan. There's a lot of festivals that happen throughout December because I was curious. I was like, I don't remember there being a lot throughout the month of
No.
December. Um, but the thing that's really interesting with Japan is that a lot of festivals are completely dependent on temples or cities.
Yeah. So you have a local thing that you'll do specifically for a specific day
Mm-hmm.
in that, like, yeah, for the specific temple down the road. It'll be like, yeah, this is what we're doing today. It's like, is it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the day for this specific thing. And it can be sort of really quite bizarre because you kind of almost don't expect it to happen, and all of a sudden it's there, and you're going, "Oh right, so there's something going on."
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing those sorts of things as a child. Like you see some that were just specific to a local, like you could sometimes just be specific to a local, like district almost.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be like a
They're
few streets, a block would do it, and that would be it.
Yep, it's all dependent because again, going back to Japanese forms of religion, there's Buddhism and there's Shintoism, and
Hmm.
most of the time a lot of the festivals they're more within the Shinto religion. They're
Hmm.
not necessarily Buddhist, and so it really is completely dependent on the spirits of specific areas. So it
Yeah.
depends on the temples of specific areas. That's why it's so interesting. A lot of people are like, oh, well, isn't there like a big festival? The only big festival that really happens throughout Japan is Hanami, Ohanami. That's
And
the
New
only
Year.
one that, and New Year's,
Yeah.
sorry, and New Year's. Those are the two like really big ones.
Mhm.
Other than that, most places it's completely dependent on what's happening at that local shrine or temple.
Yeah. That often is essentially the way it is. Because, I mean, isn't the Gion Matsuri only one of the few that happens only in Kyoto or something like that? It's a big festival. I think it only happens in Kyoto, doesn't it? They don't do it elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's that one because there's the Gyeon district, and
Mhm.
I know that while I was researching, there was one I should have written it down. I thought it was so cute. There's one called like the Daikon Festival, where because Daikon is usually picked in late fall, and so once you hit
Yeah.
December, you're basically entering winter, and so it's like a way to celebrate the daikon and picking the daikon. It's like a whole thing. I was like, this is really cute. Daikons are a type of radish for anyone who doesn't know.
It's a very
I'm
big
a
radish as well.
It's a huge radish. So good. I love pickled daikon. That's actually
Mhm.
one of the things that I always look for here in the States is the yellow pickled daikon that's kind
Oh,
of sweet. You know
yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So good. I love it so much, and I'm always looking for it because I can never
I
find it easily.
I haven't seen it for years, I don't think. That's a thought. Yeah.
But
Oh.
yeah, so I think the thing that's really big for a lot of Christmas festivals, but also like Christmas festivals, December festivals and Christmas is that I think for a lot of people, um, December, it's winter, it's getting cold for most places, not
Mhm.
everywhere, but for most places, it's winter. We're approaching a lot more darkness, a lot more um, cold. And I think that time of year is these festivals are kind of a way to remind us to spend time with family and kind of find joy in a time of year where it's really hard
Yeah.
because it's so dark all the time and
And it's
because it's
wet
so
and it's
cold and
raining.
wet. Yes.
Isn't that Britain all the time?
Actually, I thought that was so funny when people kept telling me, like, oh, it's always cold and rainy in England. It's always cold and rainy. And almost every time I had gone, it was sunny. I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. It's always pretty whenever I go to England. They're like, yeah, because you're going in May and June when, like, you might actually see the sun. And I was like, I
I'll
don't know
just
what to
pick my
tell you.
time.
Yeah, I'll just make sure I stay as long as I can get sun. I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think Christmas is really fun. I think if people remember that it's supposed to be a time to have fun.
Yeah,
If you
that's the
let the
thing.
stress get to you, that's when it gets not fun.
Because it's easy to let the stress get to you as well. I mean, it's just one of those things, isn't it? I mean, like, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. It's like, no, what you got to do is focus on making sure you can have the most fun that you can.
Hmm.
It's really what you have to do. And it's not too difficult if you're a bit imaginative. I think that's the thing is that, I think the celebrations make sense because they're quite formulaic in certain ways, which is good because you know what you have to do.
Hmm.
So, like, these are the things that we're going to do, which is nice. And I think really, I don't know how many people actually do this, but I can't really get excited about Christmas until Advent. And once Advent starts, that's it. That's fine. 1st of December, that's it. It's all go.
What's
That's
Advent?
when things the beginning the run up to Christmas. So it's the
Oh, because of the
th-
Advent calendars.
yeah, from the 1st of December to the 24th. Yeah,
I'm
let's
so
refer
dumb.
to it as that. It's all right.
I'm
What?
gonna be
Oh
honest.
right, yeah.
I don't remember what an Advent was. I do remember my mom having, I like, she had this, not a calendar, but it was like this fake tree that was on felt. And there was, right next
Right.
to it, it had like all these little pockets of little ornaments. And every
Hmm.
day they were like felt ornaments that had Velcro on the back. And so on each day you would add one of these fake ornaments to
Yeah.
this Velcro tree. I remember being little and I was like, why are we doing this? I don't know. Just keep doing it.
just, just do what I'm told.
Yeah, I'll just do what my mom wants me to do, which is put felt fake ornaments onto a felt fake tree, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, did you ever have to go to Christmas mass?
I don't think we ever did. I cannot remember.
I went to one once.
Mm.
It was
I would have
so
been
boring
very
I fell
small.
asleep. Yeah. I fell asleep straight
Yeah.
up. I don't even remember half of it. I was just like, nah. Just fell asleep in church. Because I'm not religious, and none of us were religious. We were visiting a friend of my mother's, and um, she was like, I want to go to Christmas mass. I remember pitching a fit. I remember being not happy that I had to go
Yeah.
to this because I had to dress up, and they were like,
Hmm.
you have to stay awake, you have to sing. I was like, I don't know any of the songs. No one
Yeah.
can sing. This sucks. I fell asleep.
Probably all the adults looking, going, "I wish I could do that."
I know. You know what's sad is you're probably not wrong.
I mean,
Oh my. Yeah, no, it was not. I don't remember it being fun, but I remember having to do it. Um, I'm trying to think of any like real traditions, but like I said, for me, it's hard because growing up, I can maybe remember like 3 or 4 times actually being at home. And when I say at home, like where I was living at the
hmm
time
hmm
for Christmas. Like there were a couple Christmases where we went back to Louisiana and visited my grandma and my Louisiana family. And then there were
yeah.
other Christmases where like I remember us we went to um Bali a couple of times
Mm.
because it was really close by, and I was like, hey, like it's not too expensive, let's do that. Because my dad has a thing about being somewhere warm for Christmas, I guess. Like it's
Yeah, fair
something where
enough.
it's like happened enough where I'm like, dad likes to be warm for Christmas. Okay. Um, so like, yeah, I just don't really. We went to Boracay for one Christmas. I remember that, which
All
is in
right.
the Philippines. So like, yeah, I don't have a really big tradition for myself of, Christmas stuff. It's only since I've really been dating my partner that we have kind of built our own little Christmas traditions that we do.
Yeah, I think it's the thing though, isn't it? I think families sort of build them up themselves, or little groups build them up within themselves. Like there's sort of like a general sort of structure of things that you would do. But
Mm-hmm.
some people just buck the trend. It's just like, yeah, I don't really want to do that. I'll do something else. I mean, it's celebration time, but I'm going to celebrate it my way.
Yeah, and
Uh,
that's totally fine. I mean,
yeah.
I know for my partner and I, what we do is we get up, we usually have breakfast. When we get up, we get dressed in these, they're so goofy looking. They're Christmas onesies. They have little Santa hats on them. They're
Hmm.
very warm. And we basically wear that all day. We
Fair
don't
enough.
leave really unless we're going to see a friend of ours because they're doing like a small little Christmas thing and we'll exchange presents. But most of the
Hmm.
time, we get up, we have breakfast, like I said, we get into our Christmas onesies, we exchange presents,
Hmm.
we open them, and then we'll probably spend the rest of the day watching movies and then calling our parents and wishing them Merry Christmas. That's
Yeah.
really it. That's all we do. And it's lovely. It's so
Yeah.
great.
It's nice to have that feeling though, isn't it? Of just like not having to have any, not too much pressure. Not too much
Oh,
pressure.
it's so nice because honestly, if we see anyone else on Christmas Day, like I said, it's our friends, and we usually do a
Hmm.
quick little gift exchange because they have family they have to go see because they're married, and like it's a whole thing. But for us, it's very much like, yeah, we just want to hang out and like spend time with each other and not feel like we're running around like crazy because
Yeah.
especially for me, the past couple of years, I've usually been working around Christmas,
Hmm.
whether I was working at a restaurant or I was in an office. Like, I was usually quite busy around the holiday season. So it wasn't like I just was relaxing. Most of the time, I
Hmm.
was running around and doing stuff. So Christmas was like a day for my partner and I to literally do nothing but watch
Yeah.
movies and hang out.
Well, I'm trying to think. This is probably going to be. I think, yeah, every year I've had to work things like Christmas Eve, often Boxing, as they call it, Boxing Day in Britain, this day after Christmas.
Hmm.
They don't go around punching people, don't worry. It's all about collecting boxes. Literally, that's what it means. Um,
Is there anything special other than the boxes are collected?
they do Boxing Day sales. That's the thing that tends to be the thing, is you have the Boxing Day sales. But not specifically. I think most people really just want to sit around and at home and relax. I think that's really what people want to do, especially after
Hmm.
having eaten all that stuff the day before. Nobody really wants to get up and go out. I was like, what? No, just sales. That's the reason. I'm sure that's the reason they have sales. Like, nobody's coming to the shop today. It's quick, get some sales on. That'll get them out. I'm sure
That's
that's
kind
the
of like
reason.
Black Friday here
Yeah, they
in
brought
for
it here
thanks
as
right
well.
after Thanksgiving. Yeah.
They're Black
Do you
Friday
guys have
here.
Black Friday?
Yeah, they brought it over about 5-6 years ago. I was like, what the heck's Black Friday?
Are you
Like,
serious?
I'm not even kidding. Like, I came in 2010. I think the first time Black Friday appeared was about 2013,
Oh,
something like that.
weird.
And it just
I
suddenly
thought
started
that it
happening. I
only
was like, oh,
happened here in the US.
no, no, no. It happens in Britain as well. And I get really confused. I'm like going, what is this? Like, they can do that in the US. It makes kind of sense because I was like, going, why do they have it? It's like, it was after Thanksgiving. And you go, oh, that makes sense. Whereas here, it's just like, it just happens. And you're like, why are we doing this? So, oh, they do it in the US. And they go, but what's the point? I think some people actually looked at it and said, this is an utterly pointless thing for us to do because we just lose money in the
Hmm.
UK. But they've done it for some reason. They're just like, I think somebody started, maybe it was Amazon or something like that, started doing it because obviously it's a multinational company. And then other
Hmm.
people sort of like got in on it. And then other people went, oh, we better do it too. So they started doing it. So everybody does it. And everyone's going, we're losing money, like ridiculous amounts of money. We can't afford this.
Hmm.
You know, they've done it for several years and go, this is just ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it is ridiculous. There's no point in us doing it. No point.
That's
But they do it.
so weird.
It's bizarre.
I legitimately thought that Black Friday was only done in the States.
Well, it was until relatively recently, apparently. Well, 7 years
That's
ago.
so strange.
And it's being advertised now this year, and I'm going, I don't understand. I'm not going anywhere.
No,
Well, no,
don't.
because
It's
in
not worth
lockdown.
it. Yeah, that too. You guys are locked down.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's Christmas Day, then Boxing Day.
Hmm.
You have the sales, or you just hang out at home and relax.
Hmm. You then,
Um,
I mean, you kind of have the thing of like Christmas Eve. There are a few things that people like to do, is they might go and sing carols or something like that. They do stuff like that. People going around. I think carol singing, generally speaking, when people do it, is partly kind of like an idea of charity. Like, you go and collect money by singing Christmas songs, and then people give you some money to donate to, I don't know, the church fund or something like that. You know,
mhm.
it might be a small local thing, generally speaking. This is how I
Mm.
understand it works. There's sort of traditions like that. Then there are specific foods that you don't get any other time of year. So like mince pies, which some people really hate and some people really love. And then the one that everybody says they hates is Brussels sprouts. I have no idea why people hate Brussels sprouts. I mean, all they are is mini cabbages. But everybody's, oh, I really don't like sprouts. I was like, don't cook them then.
They're so good. I love Brussels sprouts.
I like them. The other one that people keep going, oh yeah, we've got pigs in blankets. And you're going, when I first came across it, I was like, what the hell is a pig in a blanket?
Yes, pigs in blanket. I made that for the first Christmas that my partner and I actually spent together. And he was like, I really would love some pigs in a blanket. I'm like, what the hell is that? And then I had to like look it up. I was like, oh, I know what that is. But like the term I had never heard.
No,
It's
no, I
basically
hadn't.
like a mini cocktail sausage that's wrapped in like a puff pastry.
Oh, do you call them that? Yeah, no.
That's pigs
Just,
in a blanket.
well, here sometimes people refer to pigs in blankets as a sausage, like a cocktail sausage, wrapped in bacon.
That too. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
both.
Okay,
Yeah, you can refer to both of them and they're both pigs in
okay.
a blanket.
I was worried there. I thought, oh my god, we do something weird here. I suppose it's Black Friday and then it's pigs in blankets, not done with pastry. I suppose the thing is, though, it's like if you were referring to one of those, we call them like a mini sausage roll. That's what we would refer to it as in Britain.
Mhm. No, I've heard both. I've heard both.
Mm.
Pigs in a blanket is both sausage with pastry or sausage with the bacon. I've heard both of them, but they're always a mini, like tiny cocktail sausage. Oh, they're
I'm not
so
even.
good.
I'm not even sure I've ever eaten one.
They're good. They're worth.
Mm.
I mean, it's kind of a pain in the butt, I will say, because you have to like cut the bacon and you're wrapping tiny like hot dogs
Sausages,
essentially,
yeah.
like tiny sausages. So it is kind of a pain in the butt, but it is good. It's a good little app. Like I would say, it is worth making if you're having like a little party. If it's just for yourself, that is way too much work for yourself. Just throw some bacon in the oven, have your cocktail sausages. Like you don't need to go crazy. But
No.
if you're having a small party or you have guests over, it looks fancy, and compared to other like appetizers that you could make, it's really easy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, do you do Christmas puddings over there? Because I know in Britain there's a specific thing that we have.
No, it's a I mean, we have fruitcake, but almost no one makes fruitcake. What's a Christmas pudding? I mean, no, I have heard of Christmas pudding. I know what it is, but you have to also keep in mind in the States,
Yeah.
pudding is more like a creamy, not
Right. Yeah.
jello, but like a
Kind of like a
chocolate
almost like a mousse or like
yeah,
uh it's going to annoy me. I can't think of what it's called.
like a custard.
Kind of. Yeah, but what are those? I'm going to sing really stupid now. It's not a blancmange,
No.
but it's like
Are you thinking of meringue?
no, that's not a meringue either. It's oh, it's going to really annoy me. Creme caramel.
Oh.
That's it. I knew it was like I was thinking it's got a name that has two C's in it. I'm sure, but I can't remember what the two C's are. Yeah.
No. Um
Is that kind of like a pudding? Is that what you mean by pudding? This is way more painful
no.
than it needed to be. Anyway, I'll
No,
describe what it.
in the States, pudding, when we refer to pudding, we're thinking more like something that's almost like a thick custard, where it's kind of
Right.
creamy, eggy, sweet,
Right.
and usually doesn't have like a base or anything. Like having
Okay.
pudding is literally it's just like a cup, like you have a cup of pudding or something. Like
Right. Okay.
it's not. I know in England, pudding is
It's
kind
a
of a
kind of a
it's kind of a
spongy
general
bread
term.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
normally
is it
you have to think of
usually
it.
steamed?
Yes. So Christmas pudding is steamed. It's got things like raisins, sultanas, and stuff like that in it. Then it's quite a dark color.
Mm-hmm.
It is steamed to get it to temperature. And then what you do is like they do have this tradition of, like they stick some holly in it and then pour brandy on it, set the brandy alight, and then you eat it after that.
That
Because
sounds great.
the brandy burns off faster the. I think they're sometimes referred to as brandy puddings as well, because of the way
Mm-hmm.
that they're made. But you have them like with custard or with cream or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, you can't move afterwards.
Oh wow. It sounds like it would be very heavy.
And it could imagine that that's after having had the turkey and everything else.
Oh yeah, no. No, here I can't really think of like anything that's like specifically Christmassy. I mean, I know that traditionally people have sometimes like fruitcake, but
Hmm.
that's considered very like old school. Most people don't have fruitcake anymore. Um,
Yeah.
Usually for Christmas, I know more and more places have started doing a bûche, which that's actually very popular in France. And I remember my
Hmm.
first Christmas in France, we had a bûche de Noël. A bûche de
Mm.
Noël translates to the log of Christmas, and
Right.
it's basically like a roll. It's a roll cake which has
Hmm.
like cream. It's a very thin, fluffy cake where
Hmm.
you roll cream inside of it, and then you make the outside look like a log. Like you'll like
Right.
decorate it and you'll put like icing on it so that it kind of looks like an actual Christmas log.
Hmm.
Um, and then you will put like little figurines and decorations and make it
Oh, right.
adorable. But yeah, it's really good.
That sounds like quite a lot of
And
fun.
it's not too heavy, which I like. I like a
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's
because it's
essentially
a
just like
fluffy. Sorry, go ahead.
sort of like the same sort of thing as a Swiss roll, except
Yes,
obviously French.
exactly. It is.
Ignore the Swiss.
It's exactly like a Swiss roll. It's basically a Swiss roll, but we call it a bûche.
Hmm.
They're good. I like them. I think they're quite good, and I like the chocolate ones. But I'm a chocolate girl.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
chocolate. But I'm trying to think. Like other than that, I know in my French family, having like the big Christmas dinner is like a big thing, and I don't think I ever really got to do it because we were always
Hmm.
living overseas, and then my grandparent, who was the one who made all of that and really took the effort of cooking everything because she
Yeah.
would make like multiple course meals for everyone. She passed away last year, so that
Oh.
probably will not be happening
Mm.
anytime soon. But I know that it's a whole thing where you have like real French Christmas dinner. You're gonna be at the table for a couple of hours.
Yeah. Did they have it on Christmas Day though? Because I know some societies they'll do it sort of like, I know the Spanish will celebrate it on Christmas Eve. That's when they have the meal, and then some other cultures do it even earlier than that, or the things that we would associate with Christmas, like the gift giving and stuff like that. Um,
I'm trying to think. I don't remember because I don't really think we did it. But it's eaten on Christmas Eve or
okay.
early Christmas morning when you come back from like the midnight church service. No one really does that. But most people do it on Christmas Eve, and it's called Réveillon because Réveillon is like the day before Christmas.
Yeah.
And it's so decadent. Like you have oysters and foie gras, lobster. You'll have a cheese course. You have a dessert course. You have wine throughout the meal. There's always some sort of fish. Like it's a whole thing.
Let's break lockdown and go to France.
Yeah.
Screw it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that would be the end of me. But yeah. No.
Yeah.
It's so much food. You have no idea. It's so much food.
It does sound like quite a lot of fun, though. To be fair, because I think the one thing sort of like about certainly English stuff is because it's so formulaic that the thing is that everything is kind of, it's basically the best way to describe British Christmas dinner is essentially a Sunday roast, just with a few extra things. That suddenly makes it sound really boring, but that's kind of what it is. I mean, that's essentially what's happening.
Well, you live in York. Have you had is it a Yorkshire pudding?
Oh yeah, Yorkshire pudding. They have them all. You have them all the time, don't worry. Yeah,
it's not just in York.
No, they have them all over the place. I don't know why they're called Yorkshire puddings. But they are. It's essentially the same sort of thing as a pancake. It's essentially almost exactly the same ingredients, but it's just cooked in an oven.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to you put it in these little trays that you would normally use for making cupcakes. So they're kind of the same shape as what you put a cupcake in as a tray. But the thing is that when they expand, the size move out, and then you will get them. You get them hollow on the inside. So you can put gravy in them and stuff like that. They're nice, but you know.
I remember seeing a challenge that was on Great British Bake Off where they made Yorkshire puddings, and the whole time I was watching, I was like, "Yeah, this looks like pancakes." And then they exploded, like they became huge, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's like a dish! Like you're making an edible dish, essentially."
Yeah, that's how they work.
I kind of want to try one.
You could probably make them at home. I don't think that I don't, as far as I understand it, it's not too difficult. I've never tried, but
maybe
I'm not
this
that
year
obsessed
will be
with
the
them.
year.
Yeah, give it a go. I mean, I think you've got to make sure you grease the tray properly so they actually come out of it. That's and then other than that, I can't give you any advice other than they're pretty much the same as pancakes. In terms of the way you make them, they are pretty much the same.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Well, I can't think of anything else that we should talk about for Christmas, so I think we can.
Not at the moment.
All right, so if you have any questions, as usual, you can reach out to me on Twitter. My handle is at Layla Gentil. That's LeylaGentil. If you have been enjoying our podcast, please leave us a review. It's very, very kind of you to have been listening to us so far. Spread the word, let others know. This is definitely a podcast for other TCKs. We do have some more interviews that will be coming in the future that we're very excited about. But yeah, if you have any questions, comments, or ideas about future podcast subjects, definitely reach out to us. You can always also email us. We have an email. It's podcastnecessary@gmail.com.
Passport necessary.
Passport necessary. Oh my God, we're a podcast, but it's called Passport Necessary. So passportnecessary@gmail.com. And that's all for today. Bye.
Right, bye.